to another Juju live session about creativity. I'm Joana Saahirah, and as promised, I'm here live telling you a bit about creativity, how to become a more creative dancer, a more creative person, how to lose the fear of being creative and discovering your own language within the language of Egyptian dance, and also how to use your creativity in life. I mean, not only when you're dancing. This is a live session inspired by questions I have received in more than 20 years of career in the field of Egyptian dance, first in Egypt, where I started my career, and then around the world. Now, you are welcome to share your questions. I have a list of beautiful, interesting questions I have received and selected around the theme of how to unleash your creativity. But you are welcome to join me live, share your questions and your feedback and your doubts while I'm here. I promise to read and answer, okay? For the ones who don't know me yet, I'm a world-renowned Oriental dancer, teacher, choreographer, author, and I'm also the creator of the pioneering Joana Saahirah's World and Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School, delivering authentic Egyptian dance, personal discovery, and empowerment. And without further ado, let's launch the theme, how to unleash your creativity. I will start right ahead reading the first question I have selected from my students, from the dancers that have contacted me in all shapes and forms. I often receive questions via Instagram, via email, Facebook, in my website, and I love receiving them because so often I'm closed in my own cocoon, in my own world, and it's very useful and inspiring to know what dancers are struggling with, what they want to know, what they love the most about the universe of Egyptian dance, and by knowing those things, helping them and supporting them and empowering them in a way that I wish I had been supported and empowered when I started studying Egyptian dance. So keep the questions coming, baby. Creativity. Okay, so before I answer the first question, is creativity important? Right? This is not a question I selected. This is my question to you, okay? And most dancers will watch this in the replay. And if you're watching this live, tell me, is creativity important? Let me know in the comments. Is it even a concern, an issue in dance and in life? What do you think? How relevant is creativity? Do we need to develop our own creativity in order to become interesting dancers? Do we need to develop our creativity in order to become interesting human beings, resourceful human beings? What do you think? Now, I'm going to give you my perspective. It's only my perspective, okay? And you feel welcome to agree or disagree. That's what we're here for. So for me, creativity is at the base of everything. I don't believe in dance that is not creative, and I don't believe in life that is not creative. Hi, Gina. Gina is saying, yes, creativity is important. Okay, Gina, tell me why. Why is creativity important? And why do you tell me? I tell you from my side. So there is no Egyptian dance without creativity, and I don't believe there is life without creativity. Why? Because we're not here to be copycats of anything and anyone. We're here to create. Now, obviously, when you're studying a dance style, Egyptian dance, flamenco, classical ballet, salsa, African dances, whatever, okay? You're learning a language, you're learning a code, you're learning a vocabulary, you're learning a culture, a musicality, a sensibility, a history behind that dance. So there is a lot of information to absorb, right? Okay. The big problem is that most dancers limit their experience to absorbing information. They think that learning is a process from the outside in only, that they don't have a contribution to give to the dance they're learning. And that is a lie. It is a lie. We receive from the outside all of that knowledge, right? But there is another dimension of dance and life that comes from the inside out. It's not only what I receive, what I learn, is what can I give to this dance? What can I make of my own that will add something to this dance, that will add something to this life. So creativity is about responsibility and empowerment. It's a big deal. A little bit more on that soon. Gina says creativity is important so we don't get stale and stagnant. Absolutely, absolutely. I also think that creativity, catching a little bit of what Gina is saying, creativity comes with the moment, right? We flow with the moment, we flow with who we are today, we flow with how we're feeling today, we flow with what we know today, and we use it creatively, hopefully, right? So it is important to be creative. Yes, you're right, Gina. Not to become stale and stagnant, but it's more than that. Creativity, above all, it's about identity. When we talk about creation, we're talking about something that comes from within. So when I copy something or someone, I'm not creating, I'm following, I'm mirroring, I'm making a mirror. I am a mirror of that person, of that image. I am following, I am mimicking. That's not creativity. Creativity comes from the inside out. So the first thing I want you to remember is that creativity is about self-expression and the discovery of your identity, who you are, and the unique contributions that you bring to the dance and you bring to the life, not only your life, but the life of others, okay? And you may believe you don't have that creativity, but that's another big lie, okay? And I'm not gonna go further into this because there is a question about this issue of people not believing they are creative. By the way, do you believe you're creative? Do you consider yourself creative? Would you describe yourself like a very creative person? Because this is one of the issues that afflicts most dancers and non-dancers. People think they're not creative. In most cases, which is crazy because all of us are creative. Okay, all of us have our own way of doing things. Okay, so creativity is essential for Egyptian dance. Creativity is essential for life, and it is a direct reflection of our identity and responsibility. It's not what I can receive from the world, it's what I can give to the world. Or the balance between the two, what I can receive from my teachers, what I can receive from life, from others, and what I can give to others, what I can give to my dance. Creativity is what you can give to your dance. So it's all about empowering yourself and knowing that you have those gifts within, okay? More on that soon. So let's launch the questions, and my beloved, feel welcome to share your own questions about creativity in the comments, okay? Gina, let me know if you want to ask me anything about creativity, go for it, honey, okay? So question number one, I'm gonna read it from my notebook, okay guys? I'm an old school kind of girl. Coffee and notebook and pen. This is it. Okay, so is everyone creative? This is the first question I wrote down from a selection of dozens of questions I have selected, okay, throughout time about creativity. I've been asked everything under the sun, everything you can imagine and everything you cannot imagine. And I selected a few of the questions that I think are going to be more useful to the majority, okay? So is everyone creative? What do you think? Is everyone creative? Let me know in the comments, even if you're watching this on the replay. Is everyone creative? And I have to share something with you. From my experience of observing and teaching and guiding students of all levels, from beginners to the top professionals that study with me, some of them at Joana Saahirah's online dance school, some of them study with me privately in my private coaching program, some of them have studied with me around the world, and I can tell you this is another issue that is common to all of these dancers, even the most professional, most experienced, is that they doubt they are truly creative. They have serious doubts about their creativity. And when I ask them, when I challenge them, when I create the conditions for them to develop their creativity and show me what they can do, they're afraid. And the tendency is to ask, what do you want me to do? Show me something and I'll follow it. Or they will go to the video of someone, and I'm telling you this, even professional dancers do this. Oh yeah, they shouldn't, you shouldn't, but they do it. They go to the videos of dancers they like and they take away stuff, if not absolute copy, okay? If not absolute copy. So, of course, I'm totally against this, okay? I don't believe in copycats and I don't believe in followers, and I think that we must respect the author's rights. Who has created what? Honor the creativity and the work of others so that we can honor our own creativity and our own work. And the thing is, everyone is creative. Yes, but not everyone knows they're creative. And not everyone will have the guts to explore their creativity. And why am I saying have the guts? Because you actually need guts to explore your creativity. Creativity, just like love, just like relationships, it's not a linear experience. You know, if I'm a creative person, I will do amazing stuff, I will do average stuff, I will do lousy stuff. I'm sure all of you have heard of writers and dancers, choreographers, painters, who create a lot of stuff they never get to use. And why they never get to use it? Because it's not really good. So when you are into this creative mode, when you're using your creativity, when you're creating from within, you are bound to face your limits. Aside from amazing, surprising things that you can create, you're also gonna face your limits, the things that you don't do so well, the days when things are not gonna go so well, stuff that you produce that is average or bad. Just bad, you know. I've seen some of my choreographies and works in progress and writing, when I'm writing something for a book, for instance, and when I'm doing it in the moment, I feel, oh, this is amazing, oh, and then the next day I come and I watch it, if I'm talking about a choreography, or I reread it and I say, what the hell was I thinking? This is so awful. And then I have to do it all over again. So creativity takes guts. It takes work, it takes effort, it takes risks, because creativity brings out the uniqueness in us. So it is not a given that what we do, what we create, will be accepted and applauded. Very often is not. So you need guts to choose being creative over being a follower or a copycat. It takes guts. It's not only about being creative, guys. Again, all of us are creative. I believe with all my heart. I've never seen a dancer who was not creative. I never met a person who was not creative. But it's so much more comfortable to be a copycat. It's so much more comfortable to do something that others have already done, something that was already tested and applauded and approved of, than trying to do something unique from within that is so personal and that may or may not be applauded by others. Most of us will not take these risks, so we will go to a reference and we will follow it, as opposed to seeing what we can do. Okay? So the invitation of Egyptian dance is certainly to be creative. We are not meant to dance the same. You know, the movements may be the same, the music may be the same, the rules and the codes and the structure and the music and the culture behind may be the same, but how I listen to a piece of song is not the way you're gonna listen to it. How my body is going to perform a certain movement is not necessarily the way your body is gonna perform it. How I feel a certain thing is not the way you're gonna feel it, because we're different people. And how I react from within creatively to a specific piece of music, thank God, is not the same that you would react. It's not going to look the same. It's not going to feel the same, because we're different people. So there is always this question, am I creative? And the answer is yes. But then again, it takes guts. The big $1 million question is, are you willing to take the risks? And do you have the guts to be creative? That's the only thing, because there is no doubt in my mind that everyone is creative, okay? Now, second question, a very polemic one, and one that I really love, and I hope you will not be upset with me. Okay, what's the difference between creativity and talent? Is there a difference? Yes, there is a difference. Now, this is the part when you're probably gonna get mad at me. Some of you will. It's okay. I'm gonna tell you what I think, honestly, okay? Now, then again, I've coached dancers from all levels. All of them were creative. All of them were creative. Even the ones who believed they were not, they were. Were all of them talented? Talented as in capable of being a professional Oriental dancer and succeeding at it? The answer is no. So for me, talent and creativity, they're different things. And sometimes people mix them up. They think they're all one and the same. They are not. Guys, they are not. At least not in my perspective. So while everyone is creative, not everyone is talented to be a professional Oriental dancer. Just the same way, not everyone is talented to be a painter. Let's go for painting. When I was little, I was very good drawing. Actually, I was very good with the arts. I was terrible at mathematics and anything that had to do with numbers. I still am. I'm terrible with numbers, but I was naturally good with the arts. So I wrote very well, I sang, I danced, I acted, I painted. I was that annoying kid that was in all these creative hobbies and winning prizes. I won prizes of painting when I was little, if you can believe me. Am I a talented painter? Was that the sign of a talented painter? It wasn't. I was very creative with painting and drawing, but that didn't mean I was the next Pablo Picasso. Okay, so the same thing with singing. This is a big one. I love singing, guys. I love singing. And if you can believe it, at the suggestion of friends and family, I even auditioned for The Voice. Can you believe this? I auditioned for The Voice and I passed the auditions, and then I had to travel. I was still traveling a lot for work at that time, so I had to go to Ukraine, and the next phase of auditions, which were already on set, live on television, I was not there for them. But I passed the auditions because I can sing. I can sing. Does that make me the next Billie Holiday? Does that make me a very talented singer who can make it professionally and really make a career out of it? I don't think so. So we may be inclined and creative in so many areas, but that doesn't mean we're gonna be super talented in all of them. And it doesn't mean that we are destined to become very successful professional at them, okay? Hi Sandra, hello. Sandra is saying, you're always fresh like a rose. Not so fresh, I'm very hot. It's a lot of heat right here. But thank you, Sandra. Obrigado, linda. So, I'm giving you a few examples from my own life, but I think you can relate to this. We can be very creative, and we are very creative, and we can even have inclinations or little talents, but that doesn't make us the thing. So although every dancer I've ever trained is creative, I don't think every dancer is talented enough to become a professional in Oriental dance. I don't think so. In order to be a professional in Oriental dance, first of all, you need more than talent. So that's another Juju live session. What it takes to be a professional Oriental dancer, okay? And as someone who's been doing this for more than 20 years in the public eye, like non-stop, many years in Egypt, many years around the world, now online, having my own global community, I can tell you that to become a professional Oriental dancer, I mean to live from dance, to build a career and a name, boy, it takes a lot more than just talent. But even talent, just talent, I don't believe everyone has it. No, not in the sense of becoming a professional Oriental dancer. But then again, this is a live session about creativity, and in that sense, baby, you got it. All of us are creative, okay? Hi Patricia, hi. Guys, let me tell you, what do you think about creativity? Do you consider yourself creative? Let me know and I'll keep an eye on the chat. Now, let's move to the next question. And this is a very practical one, okay? Before this one. Sorry. How can I innovate without disrespecting the roots of Egyptian dance? This is a big one, and I think every dancer sooner or later asks this. So when you're studying Egyptian dance, you're studying Oriental, and you're hopefully studying folklore as well. Now, I studied Oriental, what people call belly dance, with some of the most iconic teachers. I'm talking about Nagwa Fuad, I'm talking about Soher Zeki, Mona Said, the real deal, okay, Aza Sharif. And then I studied folklore, Egyptian folklore, Nubian dance, Bedouin dance, Saidi, Tahtib, from the father of Egyptian folklore, mostly. I also studied with other teachers and I did a lot of research in Egypt, even before I moved to Egypt. But most of my experience and knowledge comes from Mahmoud Reda, the father of Egyptian folklore, the creator of the Reda troupe, my dearest mentor and friend and grandfather, okay? And I can tell you this, especially in folkloric styles, dancers are terrified to be creative because they're afraid that if they become creative, if they can innovate, if they dare to add something of their own, they're disrespecting the roots of the dance, especially in folklore, but not only. In Oriental dance, it also happens. So here's the thing. I do believe there is a limit. Okay, there are limits for how far you can innovate without disrupting or distorting the nature of the dance. I do believe there is a limit. But see the roots of the dance like a box. This is the box. It's a structure. It's number 4. Number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a box. The better you know that box, the better you know the roots, the more freedom, creative freedom, innovation freedom you have inside of that box. So the best way to develop your self-assurance in innovating, being creative inside Egyptian dance is to know the roots of Egyptian dance. The more you know the traditional, the more you know the roots, the more you will feel comfortable and confident innovating and creating, because you will create from a place of knowledge. You will create from a place of awareness of where you're coming from. You know, it's not possible to create something new if you don't know the old. I think it was Pablo Picasso, one of my favorite painters, and the father of Cubism, and considered the father of modern painting. I think it was him who said, first you know the rules, then you break them. First you know the rules, then you break them. If you study a little bit about Pablo Picasso, and as a fan, I have studied everything you can imagine about Pablo Picasso, and I've gone to his museums in Barcelona, in Malaga, in Paris, because I love him so much and I love his painting and his legacy so much. You will notice that he was a very sharp, well-educated classical painter. He could draw and do portraits and classical painting like the best of them. But then, coming from the roots of painting, not only in terms of the academic studies that taught him how to draw and paint classically, but also going to the roots of tribal art, he started to disrupt, he started to innovate, he started to shake things up and do things and see things from a different perspective. But he wouldn't be able to do it if he was not a very well-educated painter to start with. So there is a big difference between innovating and being creative from a place of ignorance and innovating and being creative from a place of knowledge. You want to be creative in Saidi? You want to be innovative in Saidi? Okay, you can, you should. Go back to the roots first. How do you do traditional Saidi? What is tartib? What is the vocabulary for tartib? What is the music about? What are the instruments? Who are Saidi people? What is the culture behind it? What are you talking about when you talk about Saidi? And the more you educate yourself about Saidi, the more creative freedom you have. The same thing applies to every style. The more you know about it, the freer you become to create and innovate. The less you know about it, the more insecure you will become, because you know you don't know. It's very simple. You know you don't know. We know when we don't know. We know it. So we feel afraid. Oh, am I going too far? Am I disrespecting it? Because you know you don't know. You know you're not prepared. So prepare. If you want to be an innovator, if you want to be more creative, you have to educate yourself. I mean, really, it is a language. Egyptian dance, Oriental and Folkloric, it's a language. So the more you dominate the language, the more you can play with the language. It's like writing. There is a very famous, very beautiful, stupidly creative writer. I think he's from Angola, Mozambique, I'm not sure. His name is Miyakoto. Miyakoto. I'm gonna write it down here in the comments. Miyakoto. He writes in Portuguese, Yani. Portuguese, his own style of Portuguese. Miyakoto is a very good example of a writer who is extremely creative with words. Now, if you read Miyakoto in its original language, in his Portuguese, you will understand this person knows a lot about the classical Portuguese language. It's the only way to be that creative. So you know the roots and then you play with the roots. First you know the art and then you disrupt the art. And when you know it, you know how far you can go with innovation without losing the essence of the art. It is so important. Okay, another example of creativity and innovation is Mahmoud Reda. I already mentioned him. Mahmoud Reda is a great example of creativity. And you know what was it that he did before he created his original repertoire for the Reda troupe, who is still now the standard for Egyptian folklore in the world? You know what he did? He went with his brother, Ahmed, all over Egypt. And they did the research. And mind you, they were already Egyptians. They were not even foreigners. They were Egyptians. Okay? They were Egyptians living in Egypt. They didn't come from China. Okay? They were Egyptians. But before they created their original repertoire, they went all over Egypt collecting dance movements, music, dialects, clothing, traditions, posture, everything you can imagine from each folkloric style. After they collected the data, after they collected the original language, they played with it. And they innovated and they brought it to the stage in a new expanded language. But in order for that to happen, they had to go back to the origins. You got me? I know you got me. Let me know if you got me, but I think you did. Gina says, didn't Pablo Picasso also say inspiration will come, but it must find you working? Oh, Gina, I love you. Oh, Gina. Yes, he did say that. Well, that is a quote attributed to Pablo Picasso. And I've read a couple of books about his life, a couple of biographies, and it's usually attributed to him. I'm not sure if it is, but it is attributed to Pablo Picasso. Yes, inspiration will come, but it must find you, it has to find you working. That's another aspect of creativity that I think dancers expect, and not only dancers, everyone. They think that creativity is a flash of light that comes suddenly, as if by miracle. And I'm here to tell you it's not. Creativity is something that you do when you start doing. Creativity comes from action, not necessarily from thinking about action. I think I'm gonna do it. And then a ray of light is gonna fall upon me and inspire me. The muses will visit me. Yes, sometimes the muses visit us. You know, in Greek culture, people believe that the work of art was not only coming from the artist, was coming from the muses that were following the artist around. And when an artist did something that was not very interesting, they blamed the muses. They said, oh, the muses today were very bad. They didn't show up. They were lazy today. Because they thought that creation was a combination between personal will, my willingness to do the work, and also inspiration that comes from the ether, right? The question is, action brings inspiration. So imagine that we are inside of one of my courses, and all my students know this. I always challenge my students. And I would tell you, choreograph a dance sequence or a dance phrase, just a little phrase, choreograph it. And he says, Joana, of course, I will choreograph it. Let's see when I feel inspired. And one day passes, you're not inspired. Say, oh, I will do it tomorrow. Procrastination. And the other day passes, oh, no, I'm not inspired today. No, tomorrow. Eventually, you end up not doing it. I will repeat it. It's called procrastination. If instead of waiting for inspiration to fall upon you, you got yourself into a dance studio or a room and you said, I'm going to work on this dance phrase for an hour, independently of how great I will do, independently of that, I assure you something interesting would come out of it. I cannot assure you it's the best dance phrase you will ever do in your life, right? That's very relative, nobody knows, and we can always redo it. We can always improve it. I don't know anyone, professional artists, non-professionals, who will tell you, oh, I wouldn't do better than that. Everyone thinks they could do better. But the question is, if it's gotta be done, if you want to have it done, show up and do the work and inspiration will come. I totally agree. I totally agree. It's almost like a reward from above. If you show up consistently and do the work, you will be rewarded, as opposed to waiting for a ray of light. Gina says, yes, that's discipline. Absolutely. You know, Gina, is discipline and it's also humbleness. So I'm going to talk about Mahmoud one more time. Sorry, guys, but when I talk about creativity, I have to talk about Mahmoud. Because I followed his creative process for years. All the years I was performing and living in Egypt, I was also working and studying with Mahmoud Reda. So I would be at 8:30 in the morning, dying of sleepiness. I would be in his studio in downtown Cairo, in Asr el-Nil, a studio that no longer exists, unfortunately. And I would be working on new choreographies within very frequently, if not every day, practically every day. And then at night I would perform with my own orchestra, so you can imagine I was so fresh, never tired. And I remember that he was the most disciplined and the most creative and the most humble person I've ever met. Some days we would get into the studio for 2-3 hours to choreograph a phrase, and at the end he would not be satisfied with the result of the work, but he would not make a drama out of it. All he would tell me is, tomorrow we come back to it and we improve it. That's it. So you have to have discipline and you have to have motivation, says Gina. Discipline versus motivation. You need both. Discipline, motivation, humbleness, and this awareness that creativity comes from action. I will repeat this. Creativity comes from action. The more you do, the more you're in the motion of doing what you want to create, the more ideas will pop into your system, into your sphere. Okay? So don't expect for the miraculous moment. And if we're talking about professional dancers, do you really want to go there? If we're talking about professional dancers, guys, there is no such a thing as inspiration. No, no. The work has to be done. Khalas, period. And if you are a professional dancer, if you are a professional teacher, you have deadlines. You have shows, you have performances booked, you have to deliver classes. In my school, I have every week I have to deliver modules and classes, live classes, pre-recorded classes. You think I can afford to wait for inspiration to come? I cannot tell my students, guys, this week I was not inspired, so there's nothing to deliver. They say, Joana, are you crazy? Yeah, because it's impossible. So if you are a professional dancer, what I'm telling you is even more important. You cannot expect for inspiration in order to be creative. You gotta do what you gotta do and expect creativity to flow. Sometimes it will flow beautifully, sometimes it won't, but you do what you do and you do your best with what you have. And then if you can improve it, you improve it. And then if you cannot improve it, you accept. This is how far I went that day. This is the best I could do. Khalas, it's done. Most people don't even do it. So when you get it done, you're already ahead of the majority. When you get it done, you're already ahead of the majority. It's super important to have your feet on the ground. Have your feet on the ground. Okay. So I've already answered this one. How can I innovate without disrespecting the roots of Egyptian dance? Know the roots, and then you can play with it, okay? And you know how far you can go without losing the essence of the dance you're representing, okay? And the more knowledge you have, the more creative you can afford to be, and the more innovative you can afford to be. It's not a big deal. Just study, okay? Study with teachers, professional teachers who know, all right? Gina says, I have 1 hour scheduled for choreography creation today. Hoping for some good stuff to come out. Yeah, Gina, so here's the thing. You scheduled 1 hour for choreography today. Now imagine you're super inspired, you're in the mood and things flow. And a lot of times that happens. I would say for me, most of the times that happens. I'm very lucky. My muses are very nice. They show up constantly, compulsively, I would say. I'm very privileged. But I have had bad times. I have had sessions when I'm trying to choreograph something for a show, for someone, or for a class, and I was gonna say something awful. It's bullshit. It's horrible. And I have knocked my head on the walls and said, what the hell is that? And I gotta get it done, and it's not flowing. And it's not going as I wanted to go. So the thing is, again, have the humbleness to accept your limitations. Have the humbleness to accept that there are good days and there are bad days for everyone. Even the most creative, more talented artists in every area, they have bad days. Even the best writers throw away a lot of their writing. Even the best choreographers throw away a lot of their choreographed pieces. So don't demand awesomeness and perfection. It's not going to happen, not all the time, okay? And then you get it done. You get it done even if it's not to your liking. Even if you finish that hour and you say, I don't really like what I did today, but it's done. And it's a base for something. And if you have opportunity to grab it and improve it and change it, you've already started to walk that path. You're not going from square zero anymore. Super important, okay? I wish you good luck, by the way. Let me know how it went, Gina. I'm gonna make this recording available, and drop by in the comments and let me know how your hour of choreography went. I wanna know, I'm curious, okay? All right, now last question I have for this session. It's a very practical question. How do I develop my creativity? And the answers I'm gonna give you are a few things that you can make notes of. So this is a good time to grab your notebook and a pen if you don't have one, because I think this will help you, okay? And how do I develop my creativity? For me, creativity is something that you use for everything, not only for dance. So creativity is about solving problems, right? I use my creativity to solve problems. Logistics, problems in life. Where do we go? How do we solve this? How can we find a solution? I find that creativity is a key of resourcefulness for dance and for life. So everything I'm going to share with you applies to Egyptian dance, and it applies to life. Okay? You ready? You're welcome, honey. Okay. First thing, to develop your creativity, you have to believe that you have it. Jana. We go back to the beginning of this session. If you remember, I told you most dancers I know don't believe they're creative. And this is a big problem because look, it becomes like a self-sabotage process. I'm sure I'm not creative. I am sure I'm not creative. Therefore, I'm going to do everything in my power to show you I'm not creative. I want to show you that I'm right. I knew it all along, that I'm not creative. So I'm going to do everything I can to show you that I'm right. So we self-sabotage. We convince ourselves we're not creative. Then again, because uncreativity is much more comfortable than creativity. I already mentioned that. When you're creative, when you create stuff from within, you know, when you create something from within, something personal, that's highly uncomfortable. Because it's like a baby. It's not a coincidence that creativity is connected with procreation. It's the same root of the word. When we create a baby, we create something unique. You create a new being. There is no one like that person. It's a new life. It's a new genetic code. When we create something from within, we should also be aware that we're creating something unique, like a baby. This is why so many artists refer to their pieces of art, books, paintings, dance choreographies, as their babies. Because creativity is connected with procreation, and actually both are represented by the second chakra, the second energetic center in your womb. Not a coincidence. It is not a coincidence, okay? So, if you don't believe you are creative, you are going to self-sabotage. You're going to do the actions and make the choices that will prove that you're right. So, it's a self-prophecy. I am the prophet of my own defeat. I am the prophet of my own failure. I prophesize, I say, I am unable to be creative. I am unable to do something unique and original. This is my prophecy, and it shall be done. Of course, guys, here's the thing. We do this unconsciously. I don't believe anyone is aware and says, you know what, I'm actually creative, but I'm going to convince myself that I'm not, so that I don't have the responsibility of creating something of unique and personal that others may or may not like. We don't think about that consciously, but we do it unconsciously. So you have to work very much on the belief pattern. I am creative. I am creative. I have something unique in my self-expression that allows me to do things in a unique, original way. My fingerprint is unique. It doesn't mean it's better, it doesn't mean it's worse than other creations. That's not the point. Creativity does not compare itself with other ways of creativity or other agents of creativity. My creativity is unique, just as I am, just like you are. There's no comparison. But I have to work on the belief pattern, believing in my bones that I am creative. I know it. I believe it. And when I believe it, I have it in me, I'm going to use it. As opposed to being convinced that I'm not. And then I'm not going to use it. And I'm going to find all sorts of excuses to self-sabotage, to sabotage the creative process. I don't have time, I am not inspired, I'm tired, it wasn't in me, I'm not able. How many excuses can we make? We're very creative at creating excuses. We're very creative at creating excuses. Here's the thing, so believe that you are creative, everyone is. Second, use it. The more you use your creativity, the more you have it. It is like a fountain. The more you use that fountain, the more you allow that water to come out, the more water exists, the more water is born. So you want to be more creative, use the creativity you have right now. How can you use it? It's not only in dance, guys, it's not only in dance. Choose a day in the week when you can be creative cooking something different. Add a different ingredient. Do something different. Dress yourself differently. If you do your makeup, create something different on your face. Use your creativity. Make different choices. Draw something, write something just for fun. You don't need to be a genius, you know. You just need to express yourself. And the more you express yourself and the more you use your creativity in different areas, in different moments of your day, the more you realize you actually have it. So your belief pattern of I'm creative stays stronger, and the more creativity you have. So use it. Third, don't be afraid to make mistakes and don't expect perfection. This is a big one. Don't be afraid to make mistakes and don't expect perfection. So two different issues that are actually related. By the way, let me know if you suffer from this plague or plagues. It's the fear of making mistakes and the fear of not being perfect. All the pain, all the drama, all the tragedy, okay? So I believe that most of us were not educated. We were not allowed to make mistakes. And I think this is a big problem on so many levels. We are reproached, we are punished, we are criticized much more than we are supported, empowered, and loved. And I mean, even when we're growing up, most of us as kids were not given the space to screw up. If you did something wrong or if you didn't follow instructions, most likely you were criticized and even punished. And I believe that creativity is something that you can only develop when you allow yourself to make mistakes. Now I'm going to tell you an interesting story because I believe stories have power. I studied to be an actress. This is something a lot of people don't know because then I didn't follow the career. I went into the Egyptian dance career and I used my education as an actress, theater and cinema in my own dance work. But in the conservatoire of acting, in my first year of conservatoire of acting, studying to be an actress, there was one specific teacher who was very generous and he was a genius teacher, perhaps the best teacher I've ever met in my life. And he invited the actors he was training to make mistakes intentionally, to do ugly stuff, to approach a character like an amateur, like nobody would want you to do, like to do the worst job possible. Like imagine you're doing your best to screw up, like how bad could you do it? And go for it and have fun. Yalla, yalla, let's screw up. So that we discovered the freedom that comes from not having to do it right. And how much you discover when you're allowed to make mistakes. And here's one thing I say to my students very often. The things that you consider mistakes, a movement you don't like, a weird step, they are often the beginning of something truly creative. But we dismiss those mistakes, and even before dismissing them, we don't allow ourselves to make those mistakes. And many teachers don't allow their students to make mistakes. They want them to follow them by the book. And if you don't follow me by the book, you're done. No. Creativity is about experimentation. Experimentation will bring all sorts of results. Sometimes incredible stuff, sometimes average stuff, sometimes what we consider mistakes. And even that is highly relative. What is a mistake in dance? What is a mistake? You know, what is a mistake? Of course, if we're studying Egyptian dance, and if I ask you to repeat an Egyptian dance sequence with standard movements and vocabulary, you may make a mistake by performing a step or a movement that is already defined in a way that was not the way that was taught. That is not the way that is considered standard. In that sense, you can make a mistake. You can make a mistake by going out of the music. You can make a mistake by being out of sync with the rhythm or out of sync with the melody, or many other ways in which we can make mistakes. But creatively, when we're exploring, when we are improvising, when we are choreographing, when we're thinking, how do I do this? How would I do that? You have to allow yourself to make mistakes and then correct them, improve from them, learn from them, but make mistakes, okay? And also the plague of perfection. Here's another big thing that stops dancers and non-dancers from doing things. They want to be perfect. They want to be the last Coca-Cola in the desert, man. If they feel they're not going to be the last Coca-Cola in the desert, they're not going to move. They would rather not do anything and become critics and criticize others, the ones who are doing it, than doing their own stuff and discovering, God forbid, they're not perfect. And the thing about perfection is the same thing about mistakes. I mean, what is perfection? Something that you may consider perfect may be awful to me. And something that I consider perfect, you may look at it and say, perfect? Why perfect? I don't see the point. So perfection does not exist. I think it was Salvador Dali, another quote from a painter. Salvador Dali says, quit chasing perfection. You will never get it, or you will never reach it. It doesn't exist. Perfection is a concept, is an idea of how things should be, how things should look like, and that is not life, that is not creativity. So perfection doesn't exist. You are chasing a ghost. No, not a ghost, because ghosts exist. I believe in ghosts. I've seen ghosts and I've talked with ghosts. So it's not even a ghost, because a ghost exists. Spirits exist. It's an illusion. Perfection is an illusion. It doesn't exist. It's a mental construction that enslaves you. So let's not work for perfection. Let's work for self-expression. Let's work for truth. Let's work for authenticity. Let's work for humanity. I want my dance to be a reflection of who I am. I want my dance to be creative, to be as original as possible, to be heartfelt, to be soulful. I don't want it to be perfect. I don't even know what perfect means. Okay, and I will not allow the illusion of perfection to stop me from being creative and to stop me from doing stuff. And mind you, guys, notice this. The ones who are usually obsessed with perfection are the ones who become the haters and the critics. They are not the doers. They are not the creators. And I think it's much more interesting to be a creator than a hater. What do you think? Yes, I think so. Although hating and destroying and criticizing, it's so much easier, of course. Creating, it's a lot of work. But I think it's more interesting. And the world needs more creators. We don't need more haters. We don't need more critics. Khalas, enough. In Egyptian, we say kifaya ba. Kifaya yani. Enough of critics and haters. You don't add anything to the world by hating and criticizing. The only way you can add something to the world is by creating your own stuff. That's it. So stop chasing the illusion of perfection and do your best. And then you improve. And every day there is a new opportunity to do better than yesterday. We're only human, okay? Last tip to help you develop your creativity for now. Lose the fear of what others think about you. This is a good one. Lose the fear of what others think about you and about your creations. Oh my God, this is another big one. And why I know that? Because I've heard dancers telling me this. What others will think, they will not like it. Sometimes they're afraid I will not like it. I mean, who am I? Am I Jesus Christ or something? What if I don't like it? What's the problem? I'm not Jesus Christ. Nobody is Jesus Christ. What if people don't like what you create? What happens? The world doesn't end. We're not here to please others. When you are with a teacher and you're asked to be creative, to create something of your own, I can talk about myself as a teacher, of course. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the content I've been teaching to that person or group, if there is a content. So let's imagine I've been teaching a certain technique, a certain style, a certain choreography, whatever. Of course, I want my students to learn what I'm giving them, obviously. So there is a part of my observation that has to do with how much they have absorbed, how much they have learned from the content I'm sharing. But on another level, on a personal level, sometimes I like it more than others. It doesn't say anything about that person. It's just my taste. It's just my sensibility. You may like carrots and I may like potatoes. What else? What's the big deal? Does it mean that carrots are better than potatoes or potatoes are better than carrots? It's just a matter of taste. So the last tip that I would like you to consider in order to become more creative is to stop giving so much importance to what others think of you. And stop giving so much power to other people. What will they think? Will they like it? Will they applaud it? Will they... I mean, it is nice to be applauded, you know. And if you are a professional dancer, there is a part of it that has to be applauded. Otherwise, if you're not successful, if there is no one applauding you and following your work and liking what you do, you're in trouble. You will not be able to live from your work. That's just a fact. But even if you are a professional dancer, guys, so let's go to the most extreme example. And it's not the case for most women who practice Egyptian dance or most men who practice Egyptian dance. Most students of Egyptian dance are not professionals, so you don't even have the pressure of having to have people liking what you do for a living. You don't have that pressure. But even if you do, so imagine that you're a professional dancer, you're a performer, you're a teacher, you're a choreographer, you live from your dance. What do you think? You think that a professional dancer has to wonder, oh, will they applaud me? Will they like me? Will they not? Will I dare to be creative and do something new? Maybe they will not like it. Maybe they will not understand it. No. You know, first of all, I think we underestimate people. We underestimate people. You know, people are not stupid. They're not stupid. And if you create something from within, based on knowledge, based on your own vision of things, if it's well done, people will feel it. And you don't have to create, you don't have to work to please others or for their approval. You have to work and create to offer something to the world that you believe in your guts. It's gonna be inspiring and empowering and important in some way, shape, or form. And let people like it if they do. Let people ignore it if they do. Let people follow it if they do. But don't make that your standard. Don't make that your guiding light. Okay? Audiences and students, they are great feedbacks. They are great barometers of how well we're doing. Somehow, at some point, but not always, and not essentially. Very often, I will confess something. Very often, in a performance, for instance, where I thought I was sucking, that was not a good day, and people loved it. You see, they're loving what? I'm really not in a good day. And if you are a professional dancer who's been doing this for more than 20 years, you will have bad days. You know, not every day I'm inspired, not every day I'm in the mood. I performed so many times in moments when I just wanted to be quiet in my own corner, not even seeing anyone. And I had to deal with musicians and audiences and music and outfits and makeup and hair. And oh my God, all I wanted was to stay in silence, you know, and quiet. And I had to do it anyway. And the thing is, people loved it, even if I didn't particularly think that was a good show, that was a good performance. They loved it. I don't understand why you loved it so much. And sometimes the opposite. I was feeling, oh my God, this is fabulous. Today I was so inspired, and musicians were so inspired. We were so creative, and the audiences were not so pleased. So, I think there is a little distance that we have to create between ourselves, our creativity, and the opinions of others. And if you are a slave to the opinions of others, if you create to please others, you're dead meat. Basically, sorry guys to deliver it to you this way, but it's true. So have the guts not only to create your own thing, but to be disliked, and to be liked, and to be ignored. Not everyone will like Pablo Picasso. For me, and for a lot of people, including experts in painting, he was the best of the best. But do you believe everyone loves Pablo Picasso? No way. Some people don't see the point. They say, Pablo Picasso? It's a joke. I don't see what's the point. Some people love Woody Allen. Some people hate him. Do you think Woody Allen cares? Some people love Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach, one of my favorite composers, classical music. Some people don't like Bach. They say, well, what's the big deal? I don't like Bach, I prefer Beethoven. Is Bach better than Beethoven? Do you think that when Johann Sebastian Bach was composing, he was thinking, will people like this? What if they don't? I better not do it. No, when you create, you create. It's your baby. You create it. And obviously you hope others will feel it, understand it, and receive it. But if they don't, it's okay, because you have already loved it and received it. And this is my last tip for today. It is to love who you are and to love what you do. Because you are your first audience. If you don't love what you create, nobody else will. And if you don't love what you create, even if others love it, you will not believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it because I don't like it. I don't love it. And if you love it, if you love what you create, if you love your baby, the opinion of others will not be so important anymore. Because you have already done the job. You have already applauded yourself. You have already appreciated your creation. So it is so important, guys, to love yourself and love what you do, love what you create. And don't be afraid to be liked, to be disliked, to be ignored. Do it for the sake, for the pleasure of doing it. And you will find the people who will appreciate it, I assure you, okay? Thank you for being here, guys. We're gonna wrap up. I'm gonna invite you to join Joana Saahirah's World newsletter. Sometimes I forget to mention. We have a beautiful newsletter inside our platform, Joana Saahirah's World, where we keep our people, our insiders, informed firsthand about all our events, including Facebook Lives, our webinars, our courses, our events, and it is also a newsletter where I share exclusive content and inspirations. I only share with my people. So if you're watching this on Facebook, I'm gonna share the link to subscribe to our newsletter in the comments. And if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, this recording will be also at Joana Saahirah's YouTube channel. You're gonna find it in the description box below the video. Either way, you are welcome to join us. I will see you very soon. Post your questions in the comments, guys, about creativity, and who knows, they will serve for future live sessions, okay? I love to hear about you, to hear about your feedback and what you want to know, and I promise I will answer it sooner or later, okay? A big kiss, everyone, and thank you for Patricia, for Gina, for Sandra, for showing up live and sharing your feedback with me, okay? See you soon.